Good morning, boys and girls. I am going to read to you another story this morning. I have chosen one of the I Am books. This one's I Am Jane Goodall. And I chose this because how much you guys loved the book I read about Helen Keller that was the same type. And because we have just been learning about gorillas from the Avid Weekly article that we read a couple weeks ago. So I thought this would be good for us to learn about a really important person for gorillas. So let's get started. The author is Brad Meltzer. He wrote the book, and the illustrator, which is who drew the pictures, is Christopher Elopoulos. All right, here we go. I am Jane Goodall. On my first birthday, my father bought me a cuddly toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. Meet Jubilee, Jane. So this has little text bubbles so you can talk. I loved Jubilee. I mean it, loved. I used to carry Jubilee with me everywhere. As I got older, when I'd line up all my toys and play teacher, Jubilee was the first one I had that had his own chair. Okay, class, now who knows what rabbits like to eat? Yes, Jubilee? Correct as always. And there she is playing teacher. I didn't just love my toy chimpanzee, though. I loved all animals, even the earthworms I found in the garden. And here's a text bubble, her mom. Did you bring earthworms inside the house? Don't worry, Mom. They're safe as can be. Uh-oh, I think her mom's upset. Right under my pillow. Uh-oh. My mom told me the worms would be safer in the garden. I think that's a good idea. So we took them outside and buried them back in their home. At 5 years old, I was curious to learn how chickens lay eggs, so I crawled into my grandmother's hen house to watch. At first, all the hens were scared of me. And there they are, scared of her. Then I decided to crouch in the corner. If I had moved, the hens would have run away. I was patient though. And here she is, hiding. Finally, after all the hours of waiting, I saw what I was looking for. The hen gave a little wiggle and plop! There was an egg. Where were you? You've been missing for so long we sent out a search party. You'll never believe where eggs come from. It was my first research project. In addition to animals, I also love nature. I named the chestnut tree Nookie and the beech tree Beech. Beech was my favorite. Oh, that was another thing. I loved reading. Thank you, Beech, for letting me read up here. There she is reading in her tree. Back then, my family didn't have a lot of money. To get books, we went to the library. When I was 7 years old, I got a book that would change my life. It was called The Story of Dr. Dolittle. I read it once, then read it again, then read it a third time before it had to go back to the library. It was about a man who could talk to animals. In the book, there is a parrot who says that if you want to learn how to talk to animals, you need the power of observation. But what I remember most is the part where Dr. Dolittle and his animal friends are being chased and they come to a cliff. How are we ever going to get across? And there they are, running across. And then they get to a cliff right there. Uh-oh. A bridge, quick, make a bridge. Right there, the monkeys joined hands and feet. They became the bridge. Isn't that beautiful? We can accomplish anything by working together. After reading that book, I vowed that I would go to Africa and live among the animals. And here they are, making a bridge for him to walk all the way across. By the time I was 12, I had my own nature group, the Alligator Club. My friends and I raised money to help old horses. We took nature walks and wrote down what we saw, or at least I did. And if you wanted to have a high rank in the club, and here she is, she's going to tell them how they can do it. So Jane says, you have to be able to recognize 10 dogs, 10 birds, 10 trees, and 5 butterflies or moths. Then her friend says, how about I go first? Something tells me she's going to name them all perfectly. And then her other friend says, each of us even had our own animal name. Jane was the Red Admiral, named after a beautiful butterfly. Was I the best student? No, not really. On school days, it was hard for me to wake up. I didn't like being indoors. But if we were outside, or there were animals around, that's when I'd get excited. And here she is talking. She says, guess how many pets I had? There was a lizard with no legs named Ivor, guinea pigs named Gandhi and Jimmy, racing snails with numbers painted on them, Pickles the cat, Hamlet the hamster, and then her dog goes. And that didn't include the dog I looked after, like my favorite, Rusty, who liked wearing pajamas. That means I like pajamas. Woof. And there's a little canary. I wanted a job where I could learn more about animals. But back then, if you were a girl, people didn't think you could become a scientist. They expected girls to become nurses, secretaries, or teachers. I wanted to go to Africa. I wanted to study animals. Luckily, my mom always told me, and here's her mom telling her, she says, if you really want something, work hard for it. If you don't give up, you'll find a way. That is a good line. Very true. I never forgot that. Soon, I had my chance. One of my school friends invited me to visit her family in Kenya. That's right, in Africa. To pay for the trip, I worked as a waitress and hid my money under the carpet. One day, I closed the curtains, counted it all, and I've got enough. I've got enough to go to Africa. Woo! The trip took 21 days by boat. I was 23 years old. And there's the boat. It all seemed like a dream until I saw a giraffe who stared directly at me. It had dark eyes, long lashes, a black tongue, and was chewing acacia thorns. And there's the giraffe. I knew my dream was coming alive. Finally, I was in the Africa of Dr. Dolittle. 2 months later, my life's changed again. Someone told me, if you are interested in animals, you must meet, and here she is meeting him. She says, Dr. Louis Leakey, nice to meet you. I'm Jane Goodall. I hear you like animals. You have no idea. Dr. Leakey was an anthropologist, which means he studied how humans live, and also a paleontologist, which means he studied fossils and bones. At first, he hired me as a secretary, but he was quickly impressed with what I knew about animals, including his own pets. Eventually, Dr. Leakey told me about a new job studying chimpanzees up close. He said going into the forest would be hard. It would be dangerous. But if we could find out how chimps live today, we'd learn more about how our own prehistoric ancestors used to live. And then here's Jane. She says, I have no college degree, no training, and no experience, but I want the job. And then he says, Jane, I've been waiting for you to say that. For a year, I read everything I could about chimpanzees. And here she is studying. She says, they're always observed in a lab. No one has studied them in the jungle where they actually live. So I was also told that women couldn't be alone in the forest. They said I needed a guide plus a companion. My mom offered to come. I was ready. And here's her and her mom in the boat. And the mom says, I knew you wouldn't give up. All right, so I'm gonna pause right there and read the rest. Sorry guys, I just realized that got cut off, but I wanted to say I miss you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the first part of that story, and I will upload the next part on Monday. So enjoy your weekends with your families. Happy Friday, and I miss you. Bye.